Hey everyone, thanks for joining. Of course, back here with AJ. We've got an exciting video today. We're going to do a little bit of a industry, thought leadership video talking about blockchain, Bitcoin. I know it's been hot. We're probably what maybe feels like a little bit late, but Bitcoin, a huge run over the past month. Really past year. Up to 35K today during the recording. But want to definitely ask blockchain, Bitcoin related stuff. But first things first, AJ, how are you?
I'm well, Jason. How are you doing?
Good, good. So here, I kind of want to kick it off. Do we want to intro it? Of course, blockchain and how it works on some of the platforms. With of course TraqiQ, and then we can go from there into the more bigger
Mhm.
picture. Where blockchain's going, where Bitcoin's going in your eyes, and go from there.
That sounds great.
Cool.
That sounds great. So, TraqiQ is focused on the gig economy, right? We have a core software platform that enables people to basically provide a series of services using folks in the gig sector, whether we are using them for making deliveries, picking up payments, doing collections, all kinds of fun things. However, this is it's a great area for introducing blockchain as a technology. We were playing around a few years ago. It's been 4 years now when we launched our first Bitcoin wallet, just to play around and see how payments would get impacted. But in the here and now, if you look at all the people who are working in the gig economy, you've got people who are driving cars, making deliveries, fiber, all kinds of assignments and projects. The gig companies themselves make all the money, right? These companies charge anywhere from 20 to 40%, while the average driver perhaps only makes 12 bucks an hour. So where does this wonderful world of technology lead to? Very simple. Today, if we can create these networks, these very simple networks where we use the power of blockchain, to do, let's say, just the verification. Hey, this is the guy who's supposed to be, etc. Then you have a world where maybe it's not 35% that's being charged. Maybe it's a smaller fee. Somebody who's actually doing some of the admin work charge 1, 2, or maybe 5%, which most people would be fine parting with. The second dimension of this is specifically around payments, right? Why do we pay 3, 4, 5% for Visa, right? Again, in a frictionless world where somebody's authenticated that, number one, a task happened, it's been verified, and that a payment needs to happen, a click of a button, I should get my value. And that's where Bitcoin is a great platform, where there's no fees, a certain amount of value shows up in your wallet. Now, whether you keep it in Bitcoin or you convert it to a currency of your choice is your decision. But again, we live in a world where technology is prevalent. We have the power. We have the power to do things our way and build our own little empires.
No, it's true. You cover a big point. At the end of the day, people care about money, money in their bank account, and Fiverr and some of these other platforms charge huge percentages. Uber, massive. You don't talk to someone who's making a killing off Uber anymore. That you would, a few years ago when their fees were lower, you might have, but now even Skip the Dishes, Uber Eats, and
Mhm.
these places take a huge portion from the restaurants as well.
Right.
That you see a lot of restaurants, and the big question of why did my meal cost double ordering off Skip the Dishes than it did if I'm going to the restaurant? Well, the restaurant is increasing their rates so that they get the same amount. Because Uber was taking a huge amount and Skip the Dishes was taking a huge amount. So I think it makes a lot of sense. And now with a lot of the software out there, talking about blockchain, you have the ability to, reduce those fees a lot. And of course the end customer benefits, and that's fantastic, and so does the restaurants in that case. So cool. I wanted to do a kind of nice video chatting about, of course, blockchain in general. You see a lot of people talk about Bitcoin, talk about blockchain. you know uh, Blockchain is supposed to change businesses in all different sectors. um, First of all, I want you to kind of maybe intro, give me your feeling. Is that true? Of course, a lot of people go to supply chain and other things. What's your view? Is blockchain here to change a ton of businesses? Is this very early stage? What's your insight?
Yeah. No, no, I've been in the technology industry for a long, long time, and a simplistic view of this is the next wave. This is absolutely the next wave. And this is a wave that has a lot to do with empowering the ultimate end user and the ultimate end customer. where we live in a world where can I do development better, faster, cheaper? Yeah. Is the level of decentralization because of blockchain important? I think it's critical. It's amazing that the guy who does the delivery has the power saying one click and yes, it has been validated that I did my task. That power is amazing. And the third and most important is money and, well, let's call it value. The fact that I did a task and I get paid on the spot and it shows up in my wallet in microseconds is a third dimension. This is where we're going. This is what the millennials have been talking about, right? So to me, yes, it is a very important aspect of how we build our current set of technology solutions, and this has amazing impact potential for the long term.
Yeah. No, cool. Awesome. I'm curious from an industry standpoint, obviously, where do you look as the biggest disruptors for blockchain? If you name a few off the top of your head, again, I probably took an answer of yours with supply chain stuff. I know Pfizer made some big investments into blockchain. Just to list, for them, it's crazy how much counterfeit, pharmaceuticals and drugs are out there. So to be able to validate this product is like what it says on the box, is important, and they're looking at blockchain for those reasons. Is there anything else that you've seen, and maybe
No,
companies are looking at blockchain but also industries?
see, those are the two very disparate names we have for our industry. I talk about us as a technology provider for the gig economy. However, the traditional world thinks of us as a supply chain player. I was talking to an investor just a couple days ago, and it was all about supply chain. Why? Because today our software is being used by Fortune 50 companies to have our people deliver the merchandise from their warehouse to the retailers. Key element of supply chain, right? And so we are in that business. I'll give you another data point, and this actually ties back with the previous question you asked. We did a pilot. We actually leased 18-wheeler trucks. And we did this for 6 to 8 months. It wasn't a trivial experiment. And we did business with some of the largest freight forwarding and transportation companies. It was amazing for a guy who's been in tech as long as I've been. There's faxes. Most of the work is phone calls. When somebody, picks up the call and says, I need a truck to go from here to here, still a lot of phone calls. The guy shows up, there's a bill of lading that has to be physically signed. And this is with the largest companies. That thing, the driver would take a picture of it and send it to our office. We would call the transportation company, right, a T-check. They would give us numbers upon numbers. Then we would actually physically go to the bank to deposit it. How simple a transaction is it? I delivered from A to B. You have a smartphone, go clicky, and the money should magically show up in the driver's account. If not immediately, in an hour. And I understand processes need to happen, but this is a 4-day process and would cost $35 for a wire if the guy wanted it immediately. Now, our technology solutions, whether it's TraqiQ or at an industry level, are very powerful today, where we can enable our drivers and our customers to say, yes, this has been delivered here and now. Click another button, payment happens here and now. I need to divide payment across the driver as well as the wholesaler distributor, however, here and now. So this is the flexibility that we have with our the core engine, if I'm going to to name it that, B, the wallet, the payment mechanism, and three, the settlement engine, and how we kind of get the value divided across not just the supply chain, but the value chain.
Yeah. No, awesome. That's a crazy example. Extremely interesting. A perfect use case. Really. So that's one. It's insane how dated some of these companies are too, and we talked about that off camera before. And it's nice also, of course, talking about Pfizer's problems and all these different industries that have issues where blockchain can be a huge component, and payments in the background. Is there anything else blockchain related, Bitcoin related? I know some people here are probably like, well, is Bitcoin here to stay? And I'd love to ask you that question. Do you think we'll see Bitcoin here to stay? Is Bitcoin going to be the dominant player? What's your views on Bitcoin?
I would like for it to succeed. I mean, we as a small player in a very large tech industry can only aspire to such things, but there's tremendous value to the platform, right? While our complete software suite is not blockchain enabled yet, we've got key elements that are getting rolled out. There's a certain amount of paranoia also out there about this new technology,
Yeah.
right? You saw the internet, it took 10 years for people to put a credit card on the internet, and same stuff happens here as well. And so over time, we will get over it, and over time, we will leverage the some of the key features, whether you look at the decentralization, you look at the security and verification, these are really powerful features. We will leverage them over time. So I think it's here, it's going to stay. It is just a question of now everybody adapting to the standards, building the software to it, and leveraging the platform. Ultimately, it's a shared universe, so we all benefit from it in a very direct manner.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's incredible the disruption that's coming up, and I know we'll probably get a ton of questions here in the comments about other industries. Curious, did you have any other industries you wanted to chat about? I always think those are the most interesting, giving people what could be a real example. Like the
Right.
trucking, like Pfizer. Is there any others that you wanted to list?
Across the board, today our biggest customers are in the world of finance and insurance. Right, we have companies that engage our software platform, and they have field forces that go out to collect payments, both from the folks who have a bank account or don't have a bank account. Right, so there's a core supply chain aspect, there's a finance and insurance aspect with the trucking and so on. These are very diverse segments we're talking about. In a subsequent chat, let's do a case study on a network that we're putting together for one of the central banks in Africa.
Cool.
That
Alrighty.
brings together infrastructure, that brings together banking, it brings together the gig economy, and of course, most important, analytics,
Yeah.
where we can kind of bring all these things together and become more intelligent.
Cool. Well, there's a good little teaser for what's to come. I think this was great. AJ, thanks for joining. Always nice hearing from an expert and someone who's been in the tech industry for so long. I love that example as well with the trucking company. Anything else you want to add on top of blockchain before we close things off?
We're good.
Cool.
No, we're good. Thank you much.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, I invite
Yeah.
anyone who made it to this part of the video. If you've got questions, you want to talk about other industries, drop them below, but also other things tech. I know we're going to talk about a lot of things, maybe even cloud coming up and some other teasers, analytics, and a bunch of other things tech related. If you've got any questions or insight, drop it below and we'll definitely try and get it in a future video.